Bismillah. Let me just check the audio this time is going through. Bismillah. Right. Okay. إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فالسلام الله أهل القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا. All right, what do we have here, folks? Let's put this away. Right, let you guys tune in. Hi. Allah. Who do we have here? Lanzetta. All right. Ahlan wa sahlan alama Mark Imran Khan from NYC. Kya baat hai yaar. Oh, I see now. When you click the thing, it brings up a little thumbnail. Hi. Kya baat hai. Look. Noorun ala noor. Imiji. Fahad. All right. You're doing it. Mufti Sahib. Hi. Ahlan wa sahlan bikum. Shukran. Hayyakum Allah. Hi. I'm just reading some of the comments. Hi. Well, first and foremost, Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Allah bless you all. May this Ramadan be a source of much abundance, blessed rizq, and unfettered success. Ameen. Right, so what is going on, ya Jama'ah? There's been a bit of a bug going round. So, khair, I'm recovering from that. And how are you guys? Yar, what's preoccupying your precious thoughts? Well, I'll share the link as well. Firstly, I thought let's get Ramadan greetings. Let's share them to you all. Yeah, dil se, from the heart. Min qalbi ila qulubikum. Allahu Akbar. So I hope things are coming along well. You know, Ramadan has I was just saying this, that even if it's not doing much, it's as if there is a paradigm shift that exhausts you for some reason. It's as if it sets your schedule into the feeling of a free fall, even though I don't know how much of it has actually changed. Well, there is the sahur and iftar element, and there's just an ambience and I don't know, but it does this, and it exhausts. There's a actually, I'm thinking, on second thoughts, the tea might not have been a good idea. Because my throat was catching. Khair, Allah bless you all. Brother, after keeping my fast, I go to sleep for a bit. Right. But when I'm sleeping, my gums bleed. Yar kya? Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. Is the fast that weak, huh? That I feel what's happened along the way, there's so much kind of obsessive OCD thought that has ruined for many people the flavor of their deen. Yeah. I wouldn't worry about these things. The fast is something that it is a fast from food and drink, essentially. That's not food to begin with. You don't drink blood, you don't consume it, and it's not something intentional in any case. So, with those things, always keep it natural. Keep it. What would what is the maqsad, the qasd of the Sharia when it asks us to stay away from fasts? What is it speaking about? Just check. I'm just gonna check the audio. Yep, that's fine. Because I know last time I think it automatically switched. Khair. So keep the fast always at a natural level. Don't worry about things like, you know, gums bleeding or swallowing saliva or even just little bits of food that have been trapped in the mouth. It is a natural setting that you have refrained. It is a state of mind that I have foregone, I have sacrificed and refrained from eating food. So I won't be eating from, sunrise or from dawn till dusk. I won't be eating food. I won't be drinking water. That's it. You don't need to worry now about other things. Oh, I don't know. There was a fly went into my mouth, or there was some dust in the air. There was some smoke in the air. These things. I keep drinking this. This has got. I think the milk. I should have thought of that actually. Um, it doesn't favor well with the the bug, right? So yeah, so don't worry about these kind of things. Keep it natural. That's the main thing. Things like, people take it to another level. I've you have absurdities about people even worrying about when they go to relieve themselves in the that they've broken their wudu. Sorry, not wudu, they fast because of the istinja. I mean, this is just taking it to such an absurd level. None of these things break the fast. Yeah. It's just at all times keep it natural. That's all you need to know. And don't worry about other things. If a person forgetfully eats, it doesn't matter. Forgetfully drinks, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Even things like injections, all of these things they're not food. Okay. So, not that people regularly take injections, but I'm just saying it's just a natural abstinence from food and drink. That's it. Yeah. Shukran, those of you. And as far as the Saudi moon sighting, yeah, this is a repeated. It's something that we see year in, year out. Nothing much changes. And my personal thoughts, you see, there's an from one perspective, I couldn't care. You're your own person, you do as you please. Then there's the element or the angle that if you're asking me or interested in what I would have to guide you by, then in that sense, I would say discard always. By default, Saudi Arabia is wrong. And just consider that as a metaphorical truth. That is a metaphorical truth that should always be taken as a principle. Saudi Arabia, for whatever reason, is almost always wrong. Now, it may be that on some occasions they're right, but take that as a metaphorical truth. For those of us living in Europe, we should not be really following Saudi Arabia, not by our fiqh perspective, not by the Saudi fatwas themselves, and definitely not by the inconsistency and the flawed system that Saudi Arabia has. It's just absurd. Their system, I mean, it doesn't, Saudi Arabia is not, geographically, it's not positioned somewhere so unique that they would always, it's not the farthest east, okay? It's in the center. And there's countries all around it, you know, Yemen to the south, it has, the other Gulf states all surrounding it. To the north, you can have the Middle East. Why is it that only Saudi sees the moon? Nobody else ever sees the moon. Nobody in Yemen sees the moon. Nobody in Oman sees the moon. Nobody in the UAE sees the moon. Nobody in Iraq sees the moon. It's just Saudi Arabia year in, year out. What do their own observatory, the al-Qura observatory, what does that state? That it will often state that the moon could not have been seen. But it doesn't matter because they have a very highly ineffective system that is just, well, if some person claims to have seen the moon, we will take it based on just the testimony that they are a Muslim. I mean, that doesn't work anywhere. Just saying that, oh, somebody's a Muslim. I mean, that's beautiful from the faith perspective, mashallah. You're a Muslim. 1/4, 5th of this world is Muslim. It doesn't mean that they qualify to testify on all things relevant. Just because somebody's a Muslim, that doesn't mean that they're experts in certain things. So moon sighting has its experts, and it is something that is also predictable by maths and physics. So for us to be diametrically opposed with science, so that's to say, when the mathematical equations tell us something that, by the way, you can have a sighting, and then we see it, it's not a problem. But when we are told that these sightings are impossible by the naked eye, then in such a case, for us to, and then only Saudi Arabia uniquely, once again, year in, year out, sees the moon, when not only no neighboring country ever sees the moon, but also the observatory and our knowledge of physics and mathematics tells us that it's impossible to see the moon at that given point in that part of the world or in most parts of the world, then it is a clear no. It is just absurdity and utter naivety and almost a mockery of the deen to be following them. That said, people who follow them, fine, you're at liberty to do so. This is only if you're asking for my guidance. Not that you need to be. So if you're not interested in my guidance, I have no qualms. You do as you please. You are your own person. Am I my brother's keeper? That's the no. You can do as you please. So, khair, yeah, but it is ridiculous, and people in the UK really there should never be a split in the UK. Bar the Salafiyah. So the Salafis are obviously Saudi centric. For them, Islam is all things Saudi. Now, then each to their own, if that does it for them, khair, that does it for them. Who are we to dictate to them when we have no place or position to dictate? May Allah bless them and guide them. And, but We wish each and everybody well. That said, bar the Salafiyah, who are a tiny amount, tiny fraction of the Muslim Ummah. I mean, I don't believe that the Salafiyah would even make up 1% of the Ummah. Do you think that? I don't know, Or would they make even 1%? Probably 1%. I don't know. But they're a tiny, tiny amount of this Ummah. But they are a very vocal minority, so it can mislead people into assuming that they're quite, because they're heavily funded, so there are certain, they're visible, especially online. They dominate the online industry, platform, not industry but platform. So excusing them, other Muslims in the UK should not be really following Saudi Arabia, and many people don't know this, but the legacy of the Muslim communities in the UK in the 80s was not to follow Saudi Arabia. And if you look this up, you can find the documents online that the early Muslim communities in the UK, the reason they didn't used to follow Saudi, this is interesting. It's not that they just didn't, but they document their reasons. Reasons are that Saudi Arabia's sighting is highly inconsistent and highly dubious. So this is what the people were saying when I was just a little kid. I was probably 2, 3, 4 years old. At that time, in the early 80s, the ulama, so that would have been all the different, what the madhahib that you had here, and in the UK, they considered the Saudi sighting to be inconsistent and highly doubtful. Therefore, they would follow Morocco. Many of them did try to sight the moon in the UK, but it was too difficult. And therefore, they agreed upon Morocco. But keeping in mind that this is, 40 plus years ago. So at that time, the means of communication was highly limited. And their systems, I think they used to use fax. Obviously, you had phone calls, but I don't think they relied on the phone calls. I think they used to fax it over or something. And a problem, so this was all Deobandis, Brailvis, Jamaat-e-Islami, all these different groups were that they were in confluence here, and they were in harmony on this point. I believe, and I could be wrong, that even the Ahlul Hadith were with them, but I'm not too certain about that. But I believe they were with them, but I could be wrong on that point. All the others were in congruence that we do not follow Saudi Arabia. And they list the reason that Saudi Arabia makes too many mistakes. So because it makes too many mistakes, we don't follow them. So then what happens is there was a particular incident, I think it was 1984, but you can check again. And this is all documented. And there's actually certain websites that have all of these documentations, listing the events and the times and the masajid that were involved. So there was an incident where the masjid, I think up north, they were awaiting the notification from Morocco and they didn't get it. So they fasted the next day. However, the following day, in the morning at about 10 a.m., I think the fax came through that Morocco had declared it to be Eid the night before. So this caused a split in their community. I believe this was at the time the Deobandi community up north. And it caused I think this was the Jama'atul Ulama Britannia. I think it was them. But You can double check it online. So they then were divided. A group of them said, we're going to break the fast and celebrate Eid. And the other group said, no, this is too late. And as far as we're concerned, we complete 30. This then caused a kind of a schism in the community moving forward. A group of them said that we, moving forward, will no longer rely on Morocco because they cannot provide us with the data in a fast enough or relevant or kind of consistent time. And because Saudi can, we will go with Saudi Arabia. I feel part of that split. This is my my own ascription here. So this is me now, my assessment, evaluation. I feel part of that was a result of stubbornness and ego. Maybe a part of it was sincere. I don't know. Allahu A'lam. But I feel it definitely had an element of ego. Moving forward, there became a great schism within the UK with masjids breaking away and going towards following Saudi. And since that time till now, the Deobandis, many of them have gone with Saudi Arabia. There's no reason for the Deobandis to be following Saudi Arabia. It is actually pretty much against, not in line with Hanafi fiqh for the most part. And they are Hanafi, and they ought to be following their more regional, especially now with technology being so updated. And we and Morocco share, for the most part, a similar matla, a horizon. So the UK and Morocco are both on Greenwich Mean Time. So we have the same time zones. So UK and Morocco have the same time zone. The only difference is, well, we have British summertime. Naturally, they don't. I think there was a period where Morocco also introduced summertime. It didn't really work so well, so they abandoned it. But so sharing the same time zone, instant technologies today, there is no, and such a rigid ru'ya system that Morocco have, there is no excuse for the Hanafiya of the UK to be following Saudi Arabia, given especially the notorious track record that the Saudi kingdom has. Notorious track record. Somebody met a few years ago, it slips me now, but I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. Somebody a few years ago had actually compiled a record of year in, year out inconsistencies in accordance with the observatory and the Saudi sighting going as far back as 20 plus years. This was then showing that almost on every year, that almost, I think maybe excusing 1 year or something, but almost every year their sighting was wrong. So, and this was often later even acknowledged and by the Royal Saudi Observatory themselves. So, khair, not to just go on there, but I do feel that following Saudi is, although permitted from a fiqh perspective, I'm not going to say it's haram. I don't believe it's haram, and I think it's wrong to throw words like haram around. They are very, we're speaking of very sacred things, but it is definitely naive at best. Right. Somebody said that the the Hanafi madhab allows global and regional sighting. The Hanafi madhab gives preference to regional sighting. It does not give preference to the global sighting, although it allows for, but it doesn't give preference. That said, Imam Abu Hanifa's fatwa gives guidance of extra scrutiny given the markers. So, for example, Imam Abu Hanifa said his fatwa that if there was no clouds and the matla and the horizon was absolutely clear, and his fatwa was that then you would require a jammun ghafir to give testimony, not just two people. So his fatwa was, if a crowd of hundreds and thousands was watching out for the moon, and they knew how to look out for the moon, and it was a clear horizon, and only two people saw it, then Imam Abu Hanifa, his fatwa is that that is unacceptable. So, فَمَا بَالُكَ, so what do you think it would be when the observatory, science, maths, physics, all the surrounding countries watching out, all declare it impossible to sight, and two people, possibly Bedouins, claim that they've seen the moon? It's impossible that Imam Abu Hanifa would have allowed that. When Imam Abu Hanifa's fatwa was that if a large number of public are looking out for the moon and only two sight it with a clear horizon, that we reject the testimony of the two. That we need then a jammun ghafir. So, so it's I find it very difficult to believe that Imam Abu Hanifa's ijtihad would be satisfied given the present day confounding variables. What's the what is it? Ceteris pluribus. All things considered. all other things being equal. Hi. Right, so khair, that's that. That said, Allah bless each and all. Yeah, so that's the Ramadan thing going on. Right, what do you guys, this Bedouins, the issue is with the Saudi Islam, Allah bless them. Yeah, कितना प्यारा है यार. It's like it's like cute. It's like in its infancy. It's like a cute little कितना प्यारा सा है. It's like Saudi meaning by that, like, when you get, like, let's say a 2-3-year-old using a big word or saying something, it's like, or like, even if you get a 3-year-old swearing or a 2-3-year-old, it's like, it's like, shh, but it's cute. So it's a bit like that, you see, because Saudi Islam is really just Bedouins. It's like people who haven't developed deep, like they like, you couldn't really discuss anything deep and philosophical with those bichare. Not that you'd need to, each to their own. I mean, their lives are what, just camels and living in a desert, and that, may be beautiful, and that's their life. Allah bless it for them. There's nothing against that. We're not opposed to. We're not saying it's a bad life. It's a Bedouin's life. It's different. It's like, I mean, it's not even a farmer's life. It's more. It's not even at that stage. It's like just a pure Bedouin. Just have camels and bichare. Just, I mean, not even bichare, because I'm sure there's beauty in that simplicity. But the world runs at a different level. Yeah, there's complexities and just nuances, and it's very, very, you couldn't, it's apples and oranges you're dealing with. It's a whole different setup. They're not really, and it's not to say right or wrong, because that's just their world. It's not that their world is wrong, it's just that's their world. Whereas if you're going to be engaging philosophical depth and infinitesimal nuances of discourse, then yeah, it's just apples and oranges. Even if you speak the same language, you're not speaking the same language. So that's what I meant, that from a safe distance, it's kind of like, oh, like cute. It's like you see the Bedouin go, oh, this the moon. You go, oh, mashallah. Yeah, but pyara banda hai, yaar. It's like Allah khush rakhe, one of those. But khair, what do you guys, damn, the Epstein files, man. Ya salam. Wow, it is just, I feel that we are in a state of shell shock by what is going on. That and as Muslims, we often have been exposed to these kind of conspiracy theories growing up, that these people are like an elite ring, that they are cannibals, that they drink blood, that they, it's so bizarrely ludicrous that it's too ludicrous to believe. And there you go. That actually was true all along. That the elite running the world are a tightly knitted bunch of child trafficking, pedophile, murdering, cannibalistic, sadistic tyrants and despots. That is who is running the world. It's wild, because who would believe it? That they actually eat children, that they torture them and carry out sadistic sexual humiliation rituals to kind of, in these circles of this. Who would believe that? And then they go out and make public appearances as great people. Wallahi, one thing, if we have been taught one thing by all of this, it is that the traditional values and foundations that Islam had given us was so concrete. And all along we're being told that, oh, look at this light that we've got over here. Don't worry about, you guys you're bringing morals and values, but look at this. We are the enlightened. Innama nahnu muslim. Allah. We are people, we're just bringing about reform, or we're trying to eliminate polio. We're trying to save the world from this pandemic. Oh, we're creating cures. Oh, we're just doing philanthropy. We're simply trying to spread technology around the world. Allah. All of them are connected. Wallahi, the hadith, innama al-kufr millatun wahid. That this kufr is but one bloodline, one millah, one way of life. And we, I include myself in this, that we had been duped, we'd been misled, lied to, deceived. In many ways, why wouldn't we be deceived? Credit to those who weren't really, but who would believe that, oh, there's actually, cannibals eating kids? Like, what the hell is that? Some of the rituals they speak of, and the adrenochrome theory, that they scare and terrify the kids so they release so much adrenaline and then they consume that blood. That Ellen DeGenerate, that's what her name should be, degenerate. Wallahi, whenever I would see her, I would sense an unease from her, This goes to show us that the fitrah was right all along. And that you sense these negative energies. I would sense it. I wouldn't watch her show, but every now and then I would see clips of it online. I used to find her energy very unsettling. Something dark about it. But obviously I didn't think she killed and ate babies. Who would think that? You wouldn't think that about anybody. Where's all this UN human rights charter? And it's a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. They were actually doing this. She, Ellen DeGenerate, she has been reported thus far as the leading cannibal out of all of them. And have you seen in 1 year how her face has aged so much? You've seen her, she's in the UK somewhere. She's left the US, she's come here. And you see all those people that escaped previously, and they gave testimonies, and they're all missing now and dead. They always found dead somewhere. That they were saying that these people are eating babies, they're sacrificing. And to me, you know what I feel? That these people, like Epstein, they genuinely believe that the Abrahamic faiths came to, maybe in their version, I feel that, see, they're not, when we use the word Satanists, I think we're innocently misdirecting the call. So they're not Satanists as far as Satan is concerned. Because to believe in Satan, you have to believe in God. Because then you believe in the shaitan. So they don't believe in God in that way. They believe that almost in like a shamanic, like an animism, that they believe that the monotheistic Abrahamic faiths were a aberration from the true nature. So they feel that the real powers in the world that were these darker forces, like the forces of Baal. Baal was like this default force of thunder and reckoning. And then along the way, the Israelites selected the one God, Yahweh, and redirected. So, and then many of the Israelites do go on to worship once again Baal and stuff. So it is in the Bible that they are offering sacrifices and offering the children to Malak and things like this. So the Bible, especially the Old Testament, has a lot about the Israelites often going, according to the Bible, off track and worshipping these other old gods and so on. Now, so people like Epstein, I feel they were trying to return to that old dark power. and that they felt they were part of that. Maybe they were part of the old Israelite, kingdom, and those people who were a part of that legacy, and that Yahweh is an aberration. So they're trying to return to that. Because he named his account Baal. He built the temple of Moloch on his island. It's wild, man. And Bill Gates on the island, he wasn't interested in the sexual stuff. He was interested in the genetic, conducting experiments on kids, injecting them with all kinds of stuff. And one thing, all of these people are connected. All of them. And I feel so much more. I feel that the only reason these files got released was because Trump wasn't declaring war on Iran. And then we know who the real powers are. They instructed a certain amount of congressmen to pass the law. And then the Epstein files, or the Epstein transparency law was transparency law was passed. And then they released only just less than half. With, I think, the proviso really saying to Trump that, look, you better attack Iran. Otherwise, the remaining is coming. And I feel that what's hidden is yet far worse. And it's crazy. And the Department of Justice, this is such a farce. Their plan was, we're just going to drown the public in that much data that everybody's going to forget about this. This is what I think the plan was. And then, let me just... Right, so, but however, I feel that was the plan that they had. But the public have just been on it. And the DOJ said that the US, we're not going to pursue, that there was nobody else in this case. There's just, let me get this right. There's just Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and they're just trafficking kids to themselves. Oh, and first I think they were said that they're not even sure there were any victims. Then they accept the victims, but any who have come forward so far are already dead. So, yeah. And there's nobody else in this case, by the way. So they're just trafficking it to who? To just themselves. Acha. This is like the dumbest. It's like you've got a 6-year-old to write this theory. And then you've got people now, when the Congress Commission went in to see some redacted, some of the non-redacted files. Within a few, weeks now, they've already come up with 6 co-conspirators. It's crazy. It's wild. There's, I've forgotten his name now. The commission, you've got 2 very vocal. You've got the, I've forgotten their names, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try and, if they suddenly don't turn up found somewhere as having offed themselves, because that's what's going on. Anybody who's criticizing the Clintons, criticizing these people, and they are of some standing in, they just found, who's the other guy? What was his name? Bourdain or something. The was it Anthony? But he was found. He was very critical. He was like a producer and certain things, very critical of Hillary Clinton. Then he was just found in his French home, allegedly having committed suicide. That's just the story with everyone. I was watching this clip of that the music artist Liam Payne, where he's on a show, got Selma Hayek and somebody else, and he's suddenly starts name dropping about these parties and Jay-Z and a few other people. And the moment he does it, you can read their body language, so uncomfortable. And then they make this sign, which is really weird because they make this kind of sign, something like this with their hands, both of them at the same time. They kind of cross their hands and do something like this. And it definitely feels like it's signaling some kind of disavowal that we're not a part of. Definitely. Like, I feel all these things, conspiracy theories, were just conspiracies. They weren't conspiracy theories. Yeah, yes. And Les Wexner, he's being, I think, deposed now, the deposition. But it's wild. And you've got the Sultan Ahmed Sulaim giving the kiswa. Why is he giving the kiswa? How is this allowed? 3 layers of it, right? And which apparently just as a rug. And this, to me, it's because they want some kind of, that they believe in these energies. They want them as part of and there's now emails where they're suggesting of eliminating so much of the population of poor people around the world in collusion with Bill Gates. He's kind of suggesting, that maybe we could alter the kind of RNA and somehow get into the DNA of people to kill them off, weaken their immune systems. And is it a coincidence that because of the Epstein scandals, the US has pulled out of the WHO? And within 2 weeks of them pulling out, 6 incurable cancers have now been cured. Is that a coincidence? Do such coincidences happen? Pancreatic cancer has been cured. Wow. Ya salam. Russia's, I've forgotten the name of its vaccine that they've released. I don't get what is going on, the amount of suffering that has happened around the world. People that have died, people that have suffered through chemotherapy. And ya Allah, I hope, ya Allah. I mean, I know that these people will face a reckoning in the Akhirah, but may they face such a commensurate reckoning and humiliation before our eyes in this dunya too. Ameen. Because it's just not fair that people have suffered. And these people, they struggle to even arrest them. If anything is to show you, they struggle to even arrest them. If this was anybody else, they would be serving a just, ridiculous life sentence behind bars. Anybody else, but no. And where are all these people now? This is the largest grooming gangs operation worldwide. There's reports that I think Turkey alone sold something like 3,000 to 6,000 girls. That's just Turkey alone. Ukraine has apparently sold off a ridiculous number of children, amongst other countries. We're and it's all coming to light now. And this is just, I feel, a tiny part of this puzzle. But one thing these recent years have done, I feel, 2 major landmark phenomena, but 2 of these phenomena, they have really been Copernican in the dynamic shift. One was the genocide and the attack on Gaza. That what it did after October the 7th was the Western countries had a mask, a persona of this this kind of leadership of human rights that was torn off for the whole world. Many people before did question it, but many people in the world did believe that there was some sincerity to their mask of, to their this persona of human rights. What October the 7th did was it tore that off. You know, as Bassam Youssef said, he said that the West will not be able to recover following that because they're standing by doing nothing and they are, how do they not see it? And the second are these Epstein files. What it's done is it's torn the facade of these leading individuals. People like Musk, who would go around and who there was a time where he was iconized and people looked up to him. I saw him as an inspiration many years ago. And that persona has been torn off. How dare he meddle? He was meddling in the UK politics, trying to say, oh, these Pakistani grooming gangs. From the US, he was trying to raise and inflate hatred and promote, and he would say things like a civil war is inevitable in the UK between people like the Pakistanis and Muslims and ethnics and the whites. And this guy who deep down must be, based on these things, just some kind of hardline racist, turns out was desperate to get onto Epstein's island to commit God knows what kind of heinous acts of sexual barbarity, most likely against infants, Allahu Alam. And yet, or even if he says, well, no, I wasn't, it was just against, with adult women. Now that he knows about this ruthless global grooming gang, where's his voice now? Has he lost his voice? So, yeah, one thing we see is that, and even I do, I am a fan of Zohran Mamdani, but the truth is, I do feel it's unquestionable that he too is compromised. But khair, at least he's trying to do some good. I feel that his mum definitely is complicit. And it kind of makes sense. And this isn't, and I know they're going to say a lot of the images are AI, but she she had a party thrown for her movie, Amelia. Now, look, she's okay as a kind of movie star. She was popular for a movie she made in the 80s, Salam Bombay. This movie was good, it was gritty, it was meaningful. But she by no means is the world leading producer or something. She made that Mississippi movie. But then after that, that's it. She's not, by world global standards, she's nothing up there. There's producers, directors, actors far more incredible than her and popular than her. However, her charity, apparently, she set up a charity to do with homeless children in India. Now, she, following her movie about homelessness, the Salam Bombay one, her charity apparently has certain rights which certain charities that are far greater in India do not have those privileges. She, when she made her movie Amelia, which is, have you heard of it? No, exactly. She has a party thrown for her in Ghislaine Maxwell's estate, which, by the way, if it's Ghislaine Maxwell's estate, it's Epstein's estate. In 2009, So after he's a convicted pedophile. And who attends? Heads of state. People like Clinton attends and Jeff Bezos. And the truth is, in no world does that happen. In no world do you have a party, heads of state attend. That. And if you expect us to believe that, then, it's just being part of that naivety, and I feel that with the Mamdani thing, that they were thinking that they are gambling, that, look, we have enough gambled on the right, that kind of hard line. We should also get somebody in on the left. He can be his own person. He can be critical. In fact, it would be good because he'll bring in more of a vote. However, if push came to pure shove, he too would be ultimately compromised. But for low-level things, we don't mind if he's vocal. We don't mind if he calls us out. And I think that's because he came out of nowhere, and I don't believe they would let him win New York unless they ultimately had something on him. And I feel he is a good guy, personally. He is a good guy. But that said, his mum definitely is a mummy's boy, and his mum is compromised. So I'm not saying by that he necessarily did all those things, but I think she definitely knew about them, and she was complicit. But it just goes to show that everybody, all these bigwigs are compromised, and they're all one club. But then some of them may, do good work. And one thing made me it really casted this thing of Mother Teresa as well, that she also is connected in some of this I was watching. And I wouldn't be surprised, because there was this thing about Mother Teresa a while back. This scandal came out of her and children going missing from her children thing. And she had this belief that she would deny people in her, in her care and treatment, she would deny them pain relief because she believed suffering brought people closer to God. But yet when she got ill, she was flown off to prestigious care around the world. And always, you have to be a bit wary of people. The Quran taught us, these people who come out with these claims, إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ. These people who make these big claims that, no, we are here to spread, we're just here for the love of piety. Yeah, that person, you have to be wary. They are the type that are not only going to screw you over and butcher you, but they're the type that are going to do it whilst in a state of wudu. You have to be wary of that kind. Seriously, Allah. It just goes to show, yaar, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And what will come of it? I sure hope something comes of it. I mean, it's just too much watching it. And how many roles? In the Saudi, he is definitely MBS. They're all in on it, man. But I think, with those, they're compromised over other things. Because I think when it comes to this kind of trafficking young girls, with the Eastern kings, I think if they want it, they can have that in their own kingdom. So they don't need to be flown into an island to do that. So that stuff, I think that they probably, if they want that, they've got that where they are. But they must be lured in for the networking, for the connecting, for calling other shots. And you can see MBS so happy in that photograph with Epstein. This, you know, good for nothing Epstein was everywhere. He must have been charming. How else did he get everywhere where he... And I definitely feel that he had some kind of sexual deformity, because that would explain the evilness that he had towards... I feel, there's this clip of this deposition where he is, where they're quoting some witness describing his private parts as being kind of somewhat inadequate and weird shaped, and then he gets up in between and he walks off, and they've touched a raw nerve, and it would make sense, you see. And they were making a documentary. Steve Bannon was involved, and where they were trying to rebrand him. This is before he gets arrested again in 2019, and he then commits suicide. But prior to that, they were working on rebranding him. So they were going to work from trafficker to something else, like, business genius to philanthropist. And he's saying in the emails that Woody Allen is going to work with, with the whole camera angling and how to carry yourself on camera in such a convincing way. And he's even saying in some of the emails that, shall I arrange a meeting at this cafe or something? And then he says, or are two pedos in one location too hot, is it, or something like that? Because they knew, because he was a clear pedo, this Woody Allen, and he'd had claims from allegations from his own daughter. So it just goes to show, ya salam. And it's a shame that there aren't any forces of justice in the world. Because really, the only forces that were leading justice was the West. And one thing we've come to learn is that all of this was just... And even you come to see how they were investing in things that would destroy the family unit. They were investing in removing people from traditional values, heavily investing in the kind of in the trans and movements and LGBTQ. And this isn't to... I'm not saying that as just to attack people from that. I'm saying, but this is what they were doing. And it just goes to show that what we had all along, the values of tradition, the values, these kind of old, traditional, ancient, classical values, were truly valuable. That they were... And when people would tell you these things, it sounds like all conspiracy, kind of tinfoil hat, that, really, as if. But it's true. It's heart crushing. I mean, Noam Chomsky. It's heartbreaking. Noam Chomsky is also, one of my heroes, who's stood up against oppression, against the war on terror. And he's also like a linguist genius, that his theories on linguistics are, groundbreaking. So, and yet here he is. And I don't know, what was it? Was it just the charm of this guy? Was it just being connected? But yeah, and there's much more to come. But power to the people. Allahu Akbar. I think the US Department of Justice, it was hoping that they would just dump, in Money Heist, he has this professor tells, what was it, Operation Paris or something. He says, if you get caught, what you do is you go into... Remember when he guides her through the whole, that you start telling the truth, but you give so much information that it floods everything. I think, was it Operation Paris or something? But he has one of his plans. And I feel this is what they were thinking that we're going to release 3 million documents, it will just flood. And people um, that, yeah, it would just mean that people would just go all, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, look, with people like Chomsky, I'm not saying that they may have had the reasons. I'm not saying maybe they felt that he was just, I don't know. Obviously, Chomsky's not in a state to defend himself, but some of the emails coming out where he's telling him that, oh, to kind of ignore the haters and stay strong. And look, maybe they are duped, but if they are duped and they are the beacon minds and intellects of the 20th century, then ya salam. And it just goes to show where and how far the shadow has been casted. And I'm not saying, by the way, about Mamdani that he is a bad person. I actually still root for him, and I do feel he's epic. And this isn't about, but to me, it just is. It just goes to show how far the shadow has been casted. And I don't think it's him, but I do definitely feel his mother is compromised. And but think about it. That's if you were these people, that's something you would do. You would play that. I mean, just put yourself, not that you'd want to, but if you would put yourself in the minds of these people that are sick and controlling, and they've murdered thousands and thousands of children, and they're complicit. They've got governments, they've got influential people of all sorts. I mean, they're arranging meetings in Buckingham Palace. Epstein is arranging meetings in Buckingham Palace. And the way he's doing it, watch George Galloway's kind of on YouTube discussion on it. He's arranging it in a way as if he has full license. He's not even saying, hey, I will try to arrange. He's just saying, you tell, I will arrange. He's saying, are you good for this? Are you good for this? It's like he's calling the shots. So if you had that level of influence around the world, you are going to get in everywhere, and you're going to get in on opposing sides. Like, think about it. The Clintons hate Trump, yet they're all compromised when it comes to Epstein. So, so it's not to assume that this one club means everybody is getting on with each other. It's very colorful, but these guys, and how many other Epstein clubs are there out there? Yeah, and this 9/11 Shadow Commission. And see, Muslims knew this all along. And Epstein and this whole email. So where's the where's the real pilot in his email? And the fact that there's a shadow cabinet commission being set up for 9/11, the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is on it. I mean, what the hell is going on? This is stuff like you couldn't make this stuff up. How bizarre it is. Right. So, khair. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's undeniable that he was working for Mossad, as in he was an agent or an asset. I think that's just ridiculously naive not to assume that. That's where most of his connections were coming from. And that's where, even the British arresting Andrew, I think, I don't, yeah, sure, it's a step, and they've said they're investigating Mandelson. But really, how far? I think that the authorities are very slow. And I think, unfortunately, maybe that many more of the royals may be compromised, but that's being kept out of it. And Andrew, they're just going to let him hang because the public is not accepting it. You see, so you got to do something. Some heads have got to roll. So yeah, but I think Norway, was it Norway? They've made an arrest, and Norway, their royalty have been involved in the Epstein files, so they've actually began a parliamentary debate to abolish the monarchy. And what other country? Some other country has made an arrest, but it's still very little. The public sentiment is what is causing this. Hopefully, it continues. Yeah. Yeah, the US seem to be so, you see, because Epstein, the you see, the epicenter of this power, this kind of black hole, of this singularity of just darkness, it is stemming from America. So that is where the pull is going to be the most intense. So yeah, so in some way, I'm not surprised that the Americans are not only very slow to act, but that they are intentionally frustrating this whole situation. They're impeding it. I'm not surprised because that's where the epicenter is. That's where this whole thing, and that's where most of the people are in the Clintons and all of these people. So, but let's see what happens. I do feel that history, we are witnessing it in the making. Allahu Akbar. That these are Copernican moments in time. That there is an absolute paradigm shift taking place. Allahu A'lam where to and how things, eventuate. But we are witnessing history in the making. Let me share the link, folks. See, God, what I need is actually, yeah, no, and I'm not, and by the way, I'm not saying any of these because I equally, I'm not saying because some of these people have done great work, and amongst them is, so I'm not saying that one that these people are all complicit in those heinous acts like Noam Chomsky or let's say Mamdani or other people. I'm just saying, in a way, it's not surprising how how far the shadow could be casted, and it doesn't mean that those people would be happy with that. But maybe to some extent, look, we're all vulnerable in being kind of pulled in if push comes to shove. That's all. Yeah. Right. God, I actually, you know what? Can I bring up YouTube and is there something that I'm, um, hmm, is there, um, right. Right. Allahu Akbar. Let's just gonna play here. Oh, where's the screen gone? Here it is. Because I have to actually just give me one more. I can see some people have joined, but I'm gonna have to just for a moment just go get myself some water because my throat is just catching too much. One moment, I'll be back in just 2 minutes, people, and then I'll have to edit this out. Hey. Ahlan wa sahlan bikum wa marhaban, folks. Eyes back. Apologies for that. Yeah, I went to get some water and I thought, cello, since I'm there, might as well pour myself a, a joshanda. Right. Somebody said, I don't think Monday nights with Mufti. I haven't done Monday nights in Mufti for many years. I don't know what the person is asking. It doesn't say. I don't know. Right. Okay. Let's take. You guys can hear me. Oh, right. So yeah, just you know what I'm feeling. There's been I've been saying before, this little bug going. Let me see, who do we have here? Fahad. Oh, assalamu alaikum.
Mufti.
Fahad.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How's it going, Fahad G? How are you doing? So what's going
How are
on?
you?
What's
Good on
Down Under
Sunday.
saying? What's Australia saying?
Before I start off with my questions, Mufti, I've got a couple of housekeeping matters I want to bring to your attention. I think Bro
Allah.
Haji is desperately trying to get you onto his podcast.
Oh, right. He has actually been telling me. I did say to him, I will go to his podcast. So inshallah. That's been my fault, really. I've just been a bit distracted. But yeah, I will do that. I have said to him I will. So so it's just a matter of time now, inshallah. But yeah, okay. What
Yeah,
else? Any other
thank
issues?
you. And yeah, and one other thing, you said you might be able to do a bit of an analysis or a reaction to the Sheikh Asrar debate with the Shia brothers. What was your thoughts on that? Did you decide that you're going to do it, or you don't really want to touch that?
I did say I would go over that,
You said
but
you're
I
thinking
ended
about it.
up not. Yeah, but no, as in I didn't watch the debate though. So I was thinking I'd share some thoughts, but then I guess it kind of went by, and I guess we're all distracted in our own sense. And you see, the whole Shia Sunni thing, it's like I feel with the whole Sunni Shia that it's a bit of a kind of moot case, really, because what is the outcome? Like, there is no, people are not gonna, those who are Shia are not gonna become Sunni. Those who are Sunni, for the most part, not gonna be Shia. People just are who they are. Now, to me, it is better that we can find some mutual grounds and then just leave it. Like, I feel it doesn't do any good, all this, because it just gets very nasty in a way, because people start saying all sorts of, like, I saw there was some clips of that, I think, was it the pre-debate conversation that Sheikh Asrar was having with Sheikh Hassan Qadri. Now, and I've met both of them. Obviously, I've met Sheikh Asrar and I know Sheikh Asrar, but I have met Sheikh Hassan Qadri as well. Very well, it's been a few years, and amazing akhlaq when we met, and had a really great evening of conversations with. There was a whole group of them with them. So my personal, kind of feel of him was really positive, and would be really positive. The only thing is, now you see, now in this debate, or in that, what was it, the conversation, the pre-debate conditions, now he said during the debate, you cannot say radiyallahu anhu, and I found that just not only unacceptable, I did find it from a dialogical perspective, even from like just from a dialectic that you're engaging the other person, I found it to be just nonsensical, unacceptable, and even undignifying as a request from him. That how, like, because you see, that doesn't make any sense. Like, because, and he said, well, you see, and his argument was that, well, we otherwise would believe in cursing some companions. So we're not going to curse if you don't. But that doesn't, you see, it doesn't carry. I know it could, on a pure devoid, like from one platform, 2D, you might think that's makes sense. Okay, I don't do this, you don't do that. But from a clear analysis, that doesn't tally. That one, in any philosophical reality, cursing somebody is never equatable to some people honoring other people. It's never the same. That there is a surplus expression in cursing people, unquestionably. That doesn't carry across in any tradition. So it's not a like for like, you know. So it just doesn't, because naturally to us, the symbols of Islam are going to be, amongst them will clearly and at the forefront will be the Sahaba. So to say, and this is an honorific with the Sahaba, it's like a dua, it's an honorific, radiallahu anhum. And it's inspired by the Quran. So, and I get it, you may not be, you may have debates or you may have a disagreement on some of the companions. But yeah, so now this is my point, you see. Now this, like watching that was very distasteful. But you see, it was distasteful, and to me, it was damaging watching that, because you see, now prior to that, my only engagement with Sheikh Hassan Al Qadri was incredibly positive. So, and I had nothing but like a really, and I still feel that, maybe he said that just in the moment or something. Obviously, I don't know, but I'm just trying to find an excuse here. But to me, that debate only did harm. Like, I didn't even watch the debate. I just watched the pre-debate, and even that did harm. It just turned into something which not only is there no good to come from it, but a certain amount of respect or a status that I see a person in, now I felt, was damaged. Like, I felt like, damn, why are you saying something like that? That's not, nobody would say something like that, because that's just and almost to suggest it is inflammatory. So it just proves the point that there's no purpose to these debates apart from just, they're just incendiary. They're just going to create more hatred. So that said, there was another debate that I did want to review, and that was somebody, but I've got to watch it. I've only seen snippets of it. Sorry, it wasn't a debate, it was a podcast discussion. So it's between damn, it slipped my mind now. He's a convert white English Muslim, and he's having the discussion with this non-Muslim guy who's a bit cutthroat at times. Damn, it slipped my mind now. Maybe somebody knows what I'm talking about and they'll put it in the comments. So they discuss a bunch of things, but in there, it's recently quite viral. So in there, this guy's giving, he's giving a lot of generally fair enough, good, just his perspective as a non-Muslim, middle-aged, converting. No, it's not Paul. This is some person who's in recent years converted, and they end up speaking about the age of Aisha, and this was so damaging. It was like, honestly.
Tutsis,
And the
was
other
it?
guy,
Wasn't it?
no, it's not Hamza Tutsis. Hamza Tutsis he's obviously Hamza Tutsis has been a Muslim for decades. This person,
Oh, right.
yeah, he's not that learned. Hamza Tutsis is quite learned in, in especially in Islamic debate, but this person is some, I don't- damn, but anyway, so he's somebody more recent and very new. Maybe he's part of the Dawah scene a bit. He's middle aged. He's got a bit of a beard, white guy, whitish grey beard, and he's speaking. But they end up on the topic of the Age of Aisha, and honestly, the amount of harm that this person does, and this whole theme is doing to Islam, it is almost irreparable. Like, I don't know how much of a miracle it will be to redeem the harm that these people have done. And they've done it with good intention, but they've really harmed Islam, and they've hurt the honor of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and really by extension hurt the the sentiments and the hearts of countless millions of Muslims, just because of this whole narrative. This one narration in Bukhari has tripped them up so bad that it doesn't understand, like, and the other guy isn't holding back, because he's not a Muslim and he's very cutthroat. So, and he's using, all kinds of phrases, like he's saying things like, well, you know in what world can a person stick his, and he's very big, very with great vulgarity, just expressing himself. And he's trying to taking this whole phenomenon of the age of Aisha, really, ya salam, if there was something that you could, and this really, the worst part is it's Muslims who have hurt Muslims by this. It's not um it's not non-Muslims. They have only caught on to what we've as Muslims have hurt ourselves. It is absolutely absurd. And I think there's a point where he tries to say something like, oh no, you're 9, and in that day and age, and so I think the guy says, okay, so you tell me, what did a 9-year-old look like? Because what are you going to say? Well, she looked like a 20-year-old. Like, that never happens in any world. And so what exactly are you saying? And then he says to him, like, oh, so would you allow this? And he says, no, I wouldn't, because today the laws have changed. And this is a simple point that they would put forward, that, okay, hypothetically, let's say the laws allowed it. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with somebody doing something? And if you are not okay with it, then that's double standards. That's hypocritical. Because, if you're saying that this is something your prophet did and you yourself wouldn't tolerate it, so this is such a slander against Islam. It's a slander against our prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And with the no matter how pure the intentions of these people are, wallahi, on this matter they have betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it doesn't matter how sincere their intentions have been, the harm that they have caused our prophet on this, that only Allah can take them to account for that. And I understand that they're trying to be sincere and they're not trying to harm Islam. And ironically, in their belief, they somehow are defending Islam, but they have not only, they haven't even let down, they have betrayed our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this matter. And if there was one thing that you could somehow undo, it would be the betrayal of these Muslims that really have, because it is ridiculous to assume this. And let's just start off very simply that, look, first of all, this is not even a hadith. Okay, people just mix up because they think anything that's in a. I love how Ghamidi Saab explains this. He says that, look, you have to understand that because this, and many people have said this part, by the way, that this is not a hadith. This is, you're assuming anything in Bukhari is a hadith. Now, in Bukhari, you have the hadith of the Prophet, and then you have statements of the companions. So this is a statement from Aisha being transmitted by her nephew. And then, really it's being transmitted by Hisham. So this is what it is. Now, keeping in mind that it's this is being done decades after the event, many decades after, because for her to be telling her nephew who's now, and her, and the other people, this is much later in life. This is then being documented by people, really, we're talking on the better part of 150 to 200 years after the Prophet, anything between that time. It's really being documented, as in being put down on paper. So what happens in 150 years, and you're relying on something where the Prophet himself taught us that, look, we, referring to his people, this was specifically about his people in his time. نحن أمة أمية لا نكتب ولا نحسب. We are an unlettered people. He said about his Arab people that we don't read, we don't write, we don't document. We just go with. And he said this in relation to them keeping a calendar, because when they asked him about the moon, how do we document it? And he said with his hands that a month is either this or it's, and then on one he put down the finger and said it's either 30 days or 29. And then he said, we are a people who do not document and do not write. And we do not calculate. La nasab. So people, you take something like, I gave in my video once the example of the Battle of Khandak, in which the entire Medina was laid siege. Now, you think people in Medina would surely remember, and when they tell people after them what year that was in, they would all agree on it. No, they disagree on what year it was in. Forget that even. You want to document about the Prophet. How old was the Prophet when he passed away? You'd think, okay, they might disagree when he was born, but surely they all know the Prophet's age when he passed away. No. Some say 60.
63, no?
Yeah, popularly, but the narrations, one narration says 60, one says 62, one says 63, one says 65. And you're going to find some of these narrations in Bukhari. It's not that they're not in Bukhari as well, they are. So they're in the Sahihain, and they're Sahih, they're going to be authenticated. So the question is, when you have I love what Ghamidi Saab explained. He said, look, listen, the hadith books are not history books. He said that we in Islam did not have historians. Like, a historian is somebody who would go and investigate a facet of history. So if we said, well, this happened in this year, now he's going to go and investigate. Did it actually happen? Was there a conflict of data? This is like what we would call like an academic historian or a professional historian. These people didn't exist in the immediate, in the generations after the Prophet. There were no historians. They were just regular people just making a note of something. They weren't people trying to scrutinize history. They weren't people trying to say, well, let me check, is there a conflict here? Has a person made it? It's just like, look, I don't know so much about, I'm pretty much clueless about a lot of cars and mechanical stuff. I have to rely on certain friends. Now, if somebody said something to me about the engine of my car or the engine of somebody's car, now I'm not an expert in that. I'm far from an expert. Now, I might just recall, like, say, yeah, the person said the manifold was playing up or something. Now, that's not the same as an expert. Now, let's say this statement of mine was examined much later to kind of dissect what the problem of this engine was. Could have I got it wrong? It's plausible. I don't know. I know very little about cars in terms of their engines and things like this. So now, whereas imagine I got my friend who is an expert mechanic to document the mistake in that car, or sorry, the error, that would be much more reliable. Now, what Hamdi Sabik highlights is that look, Muslim historians don't appear till the better part of almost 200 years after the Prophet. So by that time, they're too late now to themselves assess the historical details they want to investigate. So they are now just, they've just got reports from before. So they're just kind of collecting that. Now, that is not the same as what the people who said the hadith were doing. They were just stating, it's just a historical opinion that this is what I believe this person said. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? I'm just a person. I could get things right and wrong. Think about yourself. How often do you get things right or wrong about recall? Especially when you're recalling things. How often have you misrecalled things? Now, that said, all the other evidence of the age of Aisha showing that by the time she was married, by the time when she was, if we say engaged or, the nikah to the Prophet, she was probably anywhere near 17, 18, something like that. By the time she was married, she was most likely anything either 20 or 19. That goes with all the other evidence that you're looking at, all of the other evidence, the fact that she was present in battlefields where other teenage boys were not even allowed, the fact where she would make reference of certain things that early surahs of Islam, that how she knew them, the fact that she's listed she's listed by Ibn Ishaq as one of the first people to be one of the first few Muslims. She's listed with Abu Bakr and his family, and he lists Aisha in there. So, how was she one of the first Muslims? If we're going by the argument that she wasn't even born yet, because Revelation, if we're taking Revelation to something like, let's say, 13, pre-Hijri, so then, and if she was, 7, 3 years before the Hijrah, or 6, then she wouldn't have been born when the Prophet had received revelation. It would be 3 years prior to her being born. So how is she listed amongst the first set of Muslims? How is it that she was already engaged, and not only engaged, the other broke it off out of fear that she will convert their son? Like, how are all these people not seeing this? And then just in some bravado of, oh, but King Richard married a 10-year-old or whoever it was. Who on earth gives a damn what King bloody Richard or King James or King? Who cares what they did? They weren't the prophet of Allah. I mean, that's the most ludicrous attempt. And you know what? That sounds so ludicrous, not only to us, it sounds as ludicrous to the non-Muslims that they tell this to. Because it's like, they're thinking, why do I care what King Richard did? So, citing monarchs from Middle England or from those, like, what on earth? How is that a dalil? It's like if somebody commits an act of tyranny, that's as alien to me saying, well, do funny you say that's an act of tyranny. Do you know during the Ming dynasty, this is how this is exactly what one of the kings did. I mean, what would that even mean? That doesn't mean anything. It's like,
Yeah.
what? How does that tie into my conversation? Why do I even care what they did? So this is how absurd this is. Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is the one thing that they constantly keep bringing up. Yeah. Right. Right.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and that's something
Uh,
I will be doing more on, inshallah. I will watch more of that discussion, the podcast of these, and discuss that in more length, because I feel that you cannot speak about that enough. It is, no matter how
yeah.
much you speak about it, it's still less. But yeah, so
Mufti,
what are the, yeah,
before you go, I know it's taken a little while, and I do apologize for that. Can I just ask you a
yep,
little, a simple, okay? I know you've covered it briefly on one of your Monday nights, but if you can maybe just touch upon it a little bit more in detail, that'd be amazing. Um, Pork gelatin made of pork. Um,
mhm.
in your opinion, or in the Maliki Madhab's opinion, is it allowed to eat? Like, you know how you've got jelly beans and things like that with pork
Yeah.
gelatin? Because
So
of the
the
istihala, something like that. Something
Yeah, so the ruling that there is a difference of opinion
istihala,
on
yeah,
this,
transformation.
there
Yes.
is a difference of opinion on gelatine, but there is the opinion that is obviously there's the opinion that it's haram, but the opinion that it is not haram because it has
Yeah.
undergone substantial transformation. Now, and what that
Yeah.
means is that the substance, it has undergone a kind of molecular transformation and therefore no longer the substance. This fatwa is sound in the Maliki madhab, in the Hanafi madhab, in many of the madhabs, but I feel today that because of culture, they're not really, so they disagree with it, I think, in practice, but in theory, they do accept the principle. So, yeah, gelatine, according to the istihala, like many things, like vinegar, which if you spirit vinegar is halal, wine vinegar is halal. In fact, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is that the best of your vinegars is the vinegar made from wine. So, ni'mu khallikum khallu khamrikum. That's a hadith in Tirmidhi. So now, th- so when istihala takes place, and that's not to say that the vinegar and the wine will not still share similar properties. They will, but it would be enough to have uh, made a
Mhm.
transformation. So it's not, when you taste wine vinegar, it doesn't have some of the qualities of the wine. It must have some because it's not going to look like it's not like, oh, here it looks like vinegar and you come over here and it looks like, I don't know, it's like a total different, it's like a strawberry drink. It's not like that. It's going to be it's going to be still have several qualities of wine. It's going to have certain elements of taste to it that would still be from wine. It's going to have the color will be similar. The viscosity, I'm sure, will be still pretty similar. It's not, but it would have lost its intoxicating element. But keeping in mind, here the argument is that something that's haram ought to stay haram, regardless of. So the and keeping in mind that many people, although some of the Malikiya disagree here, and some of the ulama of Medina uh, before Imam Malik as well disagree with this, that is wine in and of itself impure? Is it najas? So many of the madhabs, they feel that wine is actually najas. So if it got on your clothes, that's impure. There's several ulama from Medina, of the of madhab Ahl al-Madina, and from the Maliki madhab also, and Imam Malik's teachers, who believe that wine itself was not impure. Alcohol is not impure, it's just haram. So there is a difference in terms of if it spills on you or things like this. Now, and they use as that the evidence, they use that if it was impure, then when it was made haram, the Sahaba spilt it in the streets of Medina. And the streets of Medina in that day and age were part of the haram. So they were something that you didn't, you could not, it was within the haram. So it was haram to really do, you know. Now, so that's the argument that they make. So if you take this, that alcohol is impure, how does it suddenly become pure when it turns into vinegar? Because it still retains a lot of its qualities. Now, the intoxication itself, you could say, well, that's the haram element. But the intoxication itself surely can't be the impurity, because the intoxication is an effect. It's not it's not something you can touch. You can't say, well, this thing here is the intoxication in the wine. It's the effect it has on you when you consume it. So what is the impurity then? So if I say the impurity is the actual liquid, which they say it is, then how is it that the Prophet says that the best of your vinegar is the vinegar that is made from wine? Now, because it still has the same liquid properties, and it will probably have a lot of the wine qualities. It'll probably have the same color, a similar kind of smell. It'll still have the same, maybe remnants of a similar taste. It will still have that. So what was it that was impure, and how does it carry across? So similarly, if wine, when converted to vinegar, is no longer not only haram, but according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, was his favorite vinegar. So similarly, when gelatin, regardless of whether it's from beef or pork or whatever, you see another issue here, and I'll come back to that. I'll circle back to the pig exclusively. An issue here is that regardless where the gelatin is from, once it's been transformed, like the wine, it's no longer impure. The other mas'ala here is the other madhabs believe that pig as an animal, not as food. As food, everybody agrees that pork is haram to eat. All Muslims agree on this. Is the pig itself something impure? So if you touch a pig, do you need to wash your hand? If the pig was to touch you, or get its sweat on you, or get its saliva on you, one is you wanting to wash yourself, that's fine. But is it impure in Islam? Is the pig, the creature itself, impure? Now, according to the school of Medina, and Imam Malik, that no creature of God is ever impure. There isn't a single creature that Allah has created that we can call impure. So according to the Maliki madhab, every life necessitates purity. Al-hayatu taqtadi at-tahara. That anything that is alive is always pure. So pig is no except. Pig, Allah made the pig as well. It's not that, the pig is made by the devil and all other creatures. So in Islam, we don't have a hatred of pigs. We just don't eat pork. So it's not that we don't go around trying to harm pigs, for example. If somebody said, I'm going to go around torturing pigs, that would be against Islam. That would be haram. You're not allowed to harm any animal in the sense that you're torturing them or just harming them. Obviously, we're allowed to eat certain things, and that's a different sacrifice. But even then, you're not allowed to torture the animal. It's haram. So if a person said, you know what, in Islam, pigs are, therefore we must hate pigs. No, we don't hate them. We just don't eat pork. It's haram. So sometimes it's not, for many Muslims, they might struggle with that difference, in making that difference. So they might think, well, it's true, when something is haram, they think we ought to hate it. I mean, not in that sense. When it comes, like, let's say poison is haram. You don't hate poison, do you? Nobody thinks like, I hate poison. You don't have a visceral hatred for poison. So sometimes some actions you could have a hatred for, but really all animals, there's no cruelty in Islam. Like, you couldn't be cruel to pigs just because it's haram to eat. So according to the school of Medina, they are not impure to start off with, but they are haram to eat. Now, similarly, death makes all animals impure. So that's life is what keeps it pure. So a carcass, a dead body of anything is impure. So that's the school of Medina. It's very principled, very straightforward. And yeah, so gelatine would be no different there. It would be whether it's from beef, pork, plants, it undergoes a transformation. So it would no longer be really called, it would no longer be the things that they began with. It would have transformed enough to be a different product we now call gelatine. So even though they make it, let's say they take some of the bone extracts or they take some of the cartilage or whatever it is, what it results in, what we call gelatine, is a substantial difference to what we began with. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much,
welcome.
Mufti.
No, Allah bless you. Shukran, Fahad. And have a
Mufti,
blessed.
just one last thing before I go.
Right. Yep.
Ian, do you have a pen and paper handy? If you can just write something down, or maybe next time.
Sure. Why? What? Right. I'm not sure. Why? What's the thing? What is it?
On Excel or something. Maybe for next time, if you can just do an in-depth analysis on the four madhabs and what their sort of similarities are and differences are. If maybe for next time, that's okay.
A question.
You did do a quick way.
Inshallah. Another time we'll cover that, inshallah. Right. Take care, Fahad. A pleasure as always. People, Fahad from down under. I wasn't sure what Fahad was suggesting when he's said about the pen and paper. I thought he's about to tell me to write some email or something and say, could you Acha, he's telling me a research question for me to research. No, I'm joking. Of course, that will be a pleasure. Woof, we've got to wrap this up shortly. Let's have some quick oh my god, has that been the time? Ya salam. We've got here, who do we have? Antu Rahman. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Mufti.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you doing, Antu?
Yeah, Mufti, doing great. Doing great.
Shukran. Okay,
how is your Ramadan going?
Allah be praised. Allah be praised. Always. Awalan wa akhiran, zahiran wa batinan.
Can you hear me, Mufti, properly?
There is a little delay in your voice, or in your voice reaching us. But yeah, it must be because, light takes time. The noor to travel to us is taking.
Yeah, from Bangladesh, Mufti, from Bangladesh. Travel to you.
The land of light, you see, it's coming from the land of light to us. Allah. How are the? Oh, there's the whole elections were going on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Have they finished? What's going on?
Yeah. Election is finished, and as expected, the BNP party won in the majority. By hook and crook, who knows?
The BNP, the BJP? No, not BJP. BNP.
BNP.
What is the BNP? The students?
No. The student is NCP. So they joined with the Jamaat, and so the NCP and the Jamaat were the same, and the BNP was the other proponent.
Is BNP like the Hasina supporters, or no?
No. BNP, Hasina was Awami League.
Yeah, okay. So where do BNP stand on the whole politics? Are they like far right, center? Where are they?
They are just same as the Awami League.
Okay, it's the same as the previous regime.
Yeah.
Allah.
Like those two were in the power, like Awami and BNP, and the student takeover in the July 2024.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But it's better. But it's it's better
Mm.
than the Hasina.
Inshallah, Allah bless and put barakah and keep everybody safe there. I mean,
So
yeah,
you have talked about the Epstein and I don't really. It's like uh, I'm being just really desensitized of this stuff. So I really just took down all of my social media and stuff because it's just too much. Like, and I think there is a fine line between like desensitizing myself with it. Like,
yeah. No, I'm with you. I think, you know what, if it gets too much for somebody, because it can draw you in. You watch a video, then you watch another one, you watch another one, you watch another one, and then sometimes the helplessness can frustrate you. So I agree with you that, if you have to, if it gets too much, just pull the plug. Yeah. But
yeah. So Mufti, I have one like not question really, like realization that I was thinking about, like about God really. So what was the
sure.
really purpose of
Sorry,
our
I just put
creation?
that up. Sorry to interrupt. I just put that up there. Yeah, I think that was it. Doughy. I think that's the podcast I was speaking about. But yep, sure. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, about God, and yeah, we'll have
So
to kind of keep it maybe.
what was the really purpose of an independent being for creating us? Like what, where is that want come from? Like creating us,
Well, the
and
answer to that is what in the famous Hadith Qudsi that Allah says that I loved to be known. So I created creation so that he may see his glory through us, that he may,
but
yeah,
so I was thinking like for a being that is independent, like for a being that is limitless, the
yeah.
thing that being could ever want is to feel dependency,
No, it's not.
and
No, 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 not
not
dependency.
like not dependency on that manner. Like you, like he created us, and we are a part of him, and we are somehow a manifestation of him at the same time. We are
We're not a,
manifesting his glory.
yeah, we're manifesting his glory. Now,
Yeah,
Allah, you see, the hadith mentions that it says, Allah says that I loved to be known. So I created creation. So through me, they came to know me. Now, that's the kind of answer. Now, I suppose you could say, well, why did Allah love to be known? But he says he loved to be known, that was his, um, that's what he loved to be. So he loved to be known. Yeah, I mean,
so isn't
well, it's
it's
not a
really like
dependency that is being, it's not a dependency that is being highlighted.
not dependency, it's like just actual dependency. It is just making a reality where your manifestation can experience somewhat like artificial dependency.
Right, sure. But the point
Um,
the point at hand is that why did Allah create creation? And so that through his creation he may observe his own glory and majesty. So yeah, that is the ultimate that there is. Now obviously
yeah,
we can't experience that as God because we're not God, we're not Allah, but we can understand that though. It's something worth
yeah.
understanding. Yeah. Mm.
Now, just the thought came into my mind because, Ibn Arabi has some discussion that uh, somehow we all really came from God, from the God, and we don't really came outside of the boundaries of God. So, whatever got created, it is from within, or it is just
No,
I'm
he
thinking.
doesn't. Ibn Arabi, no, Ibn Arabi doesn't say that. Ibn Arabi does. In fact, Ibn Arabi describes anybody who says that to be kufr in his Futuhat Makkiyah. He says that anybody who says hulul or things like that is nothing but ilhad wa kufr. Those are the words he uses. Ibn Arabi does not say we are part of God like that. What Ibn Arabi says is that we,
part of God is like manifestation, like so,
but not in the sense how you're not like that though. Not like we are him, that we are just him. We are not Allah. So what he's saying is that we are like, what he's describing is that we don't actually have a true reality. It's a bit like saying we are on a screen. Let's say you got a computer game. Now the game is real, but it's kind of not real. Because where is it then?
Yeah.
Because let's say you're going in a game and they're driving in the cars and they're going into buildings. And where are these buildings? Where are they? Well, there they are, but where are they? Where's the building though? So he's saying it like that we exist, but we don't exist. He's not saying we are God. He doesn't say that. And he doesn't say we are physically a part of God. He, in fact, says we physically don't have a true physicality. We are more like an illusion, but we think, like to us, we are a reality, but compared to God, we are just an illusion. So he says we are khayal bin nisbati ilallah wa haqiqatun bin nisbati ilayna. So this is like misrepresentations of Ibn Arabi. He's never said things like that we are pieces of God, like as in we are like part of God's body or something like this. This is like a very, yeah.
No, I didn't really mean like that. I was just asking you like it comes as an idea.
Yeah, no, but the reason I'm saying that is because you see, because that is the reason why the Salafis and all these people hate on Ibn Arabi, because they take those kind of statements, which he hasn't made, by the way, but sometimes people make about him. I'm not saying you, but the other people in the past have sometimes, said things, and then they say, well, Ibn Arabi, and they've never read Ibn Arabi and not even really familiar with his works. Then they come out with these super dumb things like, oh, if I eat an apple, then I've eaten Allah, and what does that mean? And that's just so stupid. And nobody says, but that's the kind of result of that expression, you see, because nobody is saying it like that, and nobody has said that we came out of Allah like that. And what he's actually saying is that we are just an illusion. We don't really exist. We do exist as far as and the best way to see this today is like the computer game. That the game, as you see, it's got buildings, cars, people, everything's on the screen, but where are they? And you say, well, there they are, but where are they? That's just a screen. So where are the people? So from one perspective they exist, from one perspective they don't exist. So that is a good analogy of Ibn Arabi's thing. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what it is. See that this is what the life of this world is, but provisions of a deception. So when you think about it, it's, as Ghalib says, that hasti ke mat freb mein aa jaiyo asad, alam tamam halka e dame khayal. That don't be misled by this hasti, this reality, that this whole world is like a circular trap of an imagination. Or in the other, kuch nahi sivaye musalsal fareb hai, dekha hai zindagi ko nihayat kareeb. See, it's nothing but that, and I think that is so true on so many levels.
Yeah.
Right, Antu, we'll have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
It's been an
take
absolute
care
pleasure.
and
Likewise.
keep me in my dua. and
Allah
love you a lot.
bless you.
Love you a lot.
Likewise, man. Allah bless you. Love you too, man. Allah bless you all, man. There's nothing but love that comes from you guys. I've got here Mahdi Hanad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. All right, Mahdi. Where are you joining us from?
London. I don't know if that's. I mean, you live in Birmingham,
All
right? So
right.
it's quite far.
Yeah. All right.
The UK. The UK. Ramadan Mubarak.
So, likewise, Allah bless you in Ramadan and Mubarak.
I know you're going to be short for time. I do have two
Yeah.
questions. Feel free to only answer one because you're short on time and whatnot, unless the second
Sure.
one interests you. First one, try not to laugh. It is quite a ridiculous question, but it's something that is on my mind. And as a person of knowledge that you are, we should come to you with these things, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So keep it short. It's a bit long-winded. So the verses of the Quran that talks about Yajuj and Majuj, I can't help but relate it to the immigration crisis that we see in the UK. You may disagree with me on like immigration in the UK and whatnot, but we do see like influx of like.
So whatever you do, don't give this narrative to Reform and the far right racists. They're going to be like, so not only are immigrants, tax evading, thieves, all these things. Now they're going to say immigrants are Yajuj and Majuj.
Stop it, Allah. Stop it. No, but like, I know it's funny.
We're going to have...
I feel like your old version, like Monday, what was it? You know, the way you used to be in your little bookshelf. I think that Mufti would have enjoyed this question a lot.
Oh, but, that I would have had a field day.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think the whole EDL will have a field day with that.
No, but
Nigel Farage is going to be like, guys, forget about all the other propaganda. Did you know they're Yajuj and Majuj? We need to save the British Isles from the Yajuj and Majuj.
But no, obviously, like Britain at once was, a good society, a good civil order.
Wait. Was once. Are you saying that the immigrants have?
But then, like, when you do have immigrants coming in to do the antisocial behavior and all these things, can you not relate?
I've got a feeling, Mahdi, that this is like you're like one of those AI avatars, right? And really, it's Nigel Farage speaking on the. It's like he's made an avatar of somebody from East London. He's like, I'm gonna call myself the Mahdi, and watch. I'm gonna go on this show and say, Bismillah. The Quran tells us we need to get rid of immigrants because they are Yajuj Majuj. That's what they are.
But like the Quran is supposed to be like a guidance for mankind for all times after the prophets. So like one thing that I struggle to think is like, why would there be a story in the Quran that the people should only be interpreting for during the end of times?
So is it?
How can this story be a guidance for all times after the Prophet Muhammad, but it's only relevant during the end of the world and apocalypse? Do you know what I mean?
It's like, damn, the Yajuj and Majuj took my job. They took my NHS job.
Yeah, I know, man.
Even Yajuj Majuj are going to be like really perplexed. What are they blaming me about? They're taking all the construction building jobs. It's like okay, so
No, but can it be like compared to that? Because when you do read it, you do sort of think, Abdul Qanan is this like righteous leader and he's created this nice society. And then the people complain to him. It's like, look, these people coming in. Can you not build a wall? You do kind of sense that sort of interpretation. I know it's kind of stupid, but I guess what I'm really asking is,
the rigor and fortitude. I said, given the depth, rigor, and fortitude of that question, that I will, give me count to three to think about the answer. So 1, 3, 2, 1. No, it cannot.
No. But my real question is like,
what's the
real question is like, what is this verse mental? What sort of values are we supposed to interpret from it? And
from
why would it
from
be?
The Yajuj Majuj?
Yeah, because like really and truly, when you grow up as a Muslim, you're taught that this is a lesson for the end of times, right? End of times, certain things going to happen, blah, 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 blah. But then this particular verse, like, are we supposed to just like ignore it? Like, is it not applicable in any way, shape, or form? Like, why would the
No,
Quranic
why would you think it's not applicable? So you see, Yajuj Majuj, it's not clear that what exactly. When I say it's not clear, it doesn't mean it doesn't give an understanding. It gives an understanding, but we are then compartmentalizing that understanding. So it has a raw level of understanding, like in the word. Like if you read this word, let's say, without being influenced by cultures and theories, and it would carry an understanding. But then over time, it's a bit like saying, well, reform now, it has an understanding, like a political understanding, but the word itself, if used in a different context, could mean something totally different. So similarly, Yajuj Majuj, in the kind of meaning that the word gave, it gave a meaning of time, like a phenomenon of great turbulence and chaos. That's what it gave as a meaning. So then some people, or not some people, then over time, people tried to compartmentalize it on maybe tribes or regions or race or ethnicity, or so this is all the kind of compartmentalization of it. It's not what the word itself gave. So the word itself gave this feeling of like it's speaking about great turbulence, chaos. That's what it is, a phenomenon of chaos and turbulence. And to say that, well, at certain times there will come a time again upon mankind of turbulence and chaos. And some, like the great Salafi, slipped my mind now, isn't it? Isn't it Sheikh? Oh, damn. Is it Sheikh Saadi or the great Salafi scholar as well, who has a tafsir? He had an article, which is still available, where his thesis was that it was actually in reflection, referring to the era, the colonial era, the time of such chaos that ensued for generations. So, however people understand it, whether that time has been or not, when you're talking about
people do. I mean, like certain scholars did think that it was the Mongol invasions, and the Mongols were.
yes, so some people felt it was the Mongols, some people felt it was, the colonial period, and some people maybe it has some other meaning. Allahu A'lam.
So could
Maybe
it be that it's not this prophecy that's going to come later on, but rather it's a lesson that we can use in every era until the end of times, like this sort of these Yajuj and
yes,
Majuj, they're not a particular thing. They
as
can be
in could sure in a sense, like, but I would say of commensurate proportionality. Like if you're taking something like, let's say, colonialism, whereby the whole world, the shadow of it was cast upon almost the majority of the world into utter darkness of barbarity and butcherings. And you take something like the Congo reports of the amount of hands that they chopped, and you could take India and the famine of Bengal, or how they massacred people, and you could all of, like, you take that proportionality of what people are looking at, and sure, any human tragedy of that proportion, if a person did refer to it as Yajuj and Majuj, sure, I mean, that people could do that, I guess. I think most people feel it's not just for it's only for certain, epic kind of, but not in a positive, like in a
what do you
negative.
interpret it as?
I honestly don't. To me, I felt I was at one point, like I would be inclined to thinking it's either one of the two. I would think, well, it's either colonialism that took place, or maybe at some point aliens.
Aliens.
So I would probably think aliens here, because I do feel aliens do exist, and I feel that not only do they exist, that we've had a lot of data on them. And to me, aliens are, like, we've misunderstood what the jinn means. To me, alien are the jinn. That the jinn are not these kind of spooky spirits flying around, that they would be aliens. And it's just that they would have been too far to make contact. And maybe on some occasions they were making contact. So that's how I see it differently. That I would
How
think
can
jinn
Dulkarnain
are,
make a wall against aliens? Like, what are you?
like I don't know. Like, I mean, once again, there's another premise here, that is it following, or these two separate events, the Yajuj Majuj? And if he did, let's say it is Dhul-Qarnayn, then it could be that certain civilizations way before had some technology that we don't fathom today, that and it disappeared. I mean, we don't understand even things like how the pyramids and all these things were being made. We don't understand. And it's, people like the pharaohs were not making the pyramids, they were inheriting them. There's a big difference, because every other pyramid built after the Great Three it's very weak. I mean, you put them together, it's like miles apart. They're made very poorly. They're not made with the same engineering. They're not made, even though there's so many pyramids, but they're nothing after those three. And so other things as well, not just that. What we do learn is that there must have been some kind of, like humans before, they must have had access to some kind of knowing that we don't, or we don't understand today. And for some reason, maybe with the Younger Dryas incident that kind of wiped out, and it led to the mini ice age, that humanity, and caused a global rising and a flood, that knowledge may have been lost on many people. So yeah, like maybe there's certain things that I don't know. This is just a
Isn't my interpretation more plausible than yours, Sheikh, as aliens?
You see, I don't know. You say that, but you see, tell me, what is the CIA's most kept secret in terms of the files? What is the most guarded?
Kennedy's assassination, maybe?
No, it isn't. It's the UFO project.
Is it? Oh,
The
wow.
UFO project. Yeah. Despite Congress declaring see, if there was nothing on UFOs, right? Why has the largest budget on spending gone on UFOs? Why is it been described as the most kept guarded secret above the Manhattan Project? Now, the Manhattan Project is well guarded by the CIA, naturally, because of obviously the atomic thing, but more guarded than that is the UFO. When Congress, I think in 2023, just recently, when they had the congressional hearings and the testimonies of great ranked officers and all these people testifying to them having witnessed the otherworldly material that the USA is in possession of. The Congress demanded that the files be released. This is the government of the USA, and it was denied. So if there's nothing in the files, why are they still denying them? Well, it's like if I've got something and my findings show there's nothing here, why, just follow the money. It's like these Epstein things as well. It just goes to show that there is, to me, I feel that they've on purpose mocked and they've created all these like movies and allowed movies to develop in this way that people would mock it. It's like they made these movies where rich people go on this island and hunt innocent people. Now, when they've released these, the victims have come forward about Epstein's island saying this is what they would do. Obviously, those victims disappeared and went missing all of a sudden. But you see, it's things we've watched in movies. It's like, oh yeah, because that's how everybody would disbelieve it, because they'd say, oh, what's his name? Heisink, when he was one of the leading authorities, and he was pro-government, wasn't he? Because if you watch his interviews, he later on, when he turned against them towards the later part of his life, and he said that the government, that it's not just the government, sorry, not the government, the CIA and the military industrial complex, he said that they were paying them to go on, they would select them, pay them to go on these talk shows, and they would make this phenomenon appear ridicule to the public. And you would have these very intelligent people, professors, ridiculing it, so the public buys into it, that, oh, that's dumb. And he later, in the very short part of his final part of his life, when he turned against that and said, well, actually, they paid us to do all of this, and I think we now see it, you see. So to me, I feel that this is another thing. And I tell you, if you're open to theories, watch the Virginia, but they spell it with a H, the Brazil Virginia sightings. And there's a documentary on it called something like, I think it was called Point of Contact or something. But if you just explore that, how do you explain that? That was with multiple people witnessed it, multiple. And if you look at the doctors, that the thing they caught, and if you go into how the radiation, the person who died, the girls who witnessed it, the stench, how the consistency of all the witness testimonies, how suddenly the USA flew in with the jets and took it, and so yeah, I mean, on these things, I never used to buy into it, but upon going down that rabbit hole,
like a lot of conspiracy theories are getting vindicated now.
Yeah, now we're seeing that. Yeah, it's called Point of Contact. It really is an interesting documentary. I would say definitely watch it. It doesn't mean you have to believe in what they say. I, by the way, would mock the alien theory. I used to mock it. There's a dear friend of mine. He's related to me as well, Sheikh Sajjad. Many people may know him. He spells it S.J.A.W. And many great things in my life, many great theories initiated me onto. And at first I would always mock it and be like, nah, that's absurd, I won't believe in that. But he would just kind of say, well, okay, you know what, just hear me out, just watch this one thing or watch this. And over the years, there's been many great theories that I've really got into because of him kind of signaling them to me. And this was one that he told me and I mocked, and I said that that's absurd, and it's ridiculous, and why do they only appear in America, and all these arguments, I had them. So it was one thing at a time. I just started exploring, and I realized, well, actually, it actually makes perfect sense, like that there's definitely some things going on. But Khair, I have to wrap this up. I think you do as well.
No problem.
We will catch up. But it's been a pleasure, Mahdi, speaking to you. Take care of yourself, and we'll speak soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. People, that was Mahdi from London. I think East London, I'm not sure, but London, nevertheless. And we will have to call this a wrap. We've gone on. I will do many more. We'll catch up. And yep, that's it. The Virginia UFO sighting. Yeah, I'll just bring this up. Incident 1996. Right. So people, take very good care of yourselves. Allah keep you all blessed, keep you all smiling. I do agree with who is it that was it Antu? He said a moment ago that we do have to be wary sometimes not to get so drawn in, pulled in, that we forget the positivity and the blessings all around us. And it's true that where attention goes, energy flows. And so we must, maintain a balance. If we are to get drawn in, then we have to keep that positivity and love going. Guys, as always, much love to you all. Allah keep you blessed, keep you always smiling. Ameen. Those of you that want to reach out for a one-to-one consultation, you're more than welcome on patreon.com/Malm, and that's tier 2. That does also give you access to the Discord. And all of you already on there. As always, much love to you, my Ya Jama'ah. my Discord people. Right, rest of you as well. Salamullahi alaikum wa khuda hafiz.